some of the teams are not taking scrims so seriously.
I believe we are the worst team in the scrim. If you saw us on the LCS, we are like shouting and stuff and motivating and stuff. That doesn't happen in a scrim.
Scrimming is overall pretty boring. We wake up, do our usual stuff, and then we start scrimming. A little bit like school, you could say. Maybe a little bit more fun.
I like to scrim versus Gambit because Diamond is the best jungler in Europe and I can learn a lot from him, but not from his team because they are usually trolling.
Gambit is known to lose to a lot of teams during the scrims, but almost none when it really matters.
We're only winning alliance in scrims.
For us, scrims are mostly about trying new stuff.
For some teams, it works out not taking it that serious, but building up team communication instead seems to help them.
It's kind of funny now, we are doing better in scrims than we were before. Maybe we should try to troll more in scrims and then try to play better in LCS.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back as Quickshot and I are joined here by Jess's after that victory. Impressive play from you guys once again. What was the game plan going into picks and bans?
We kind of knew what Moops was going to play, and we banned his Gragas, and since Kale and Six is nerfed, we kind of knew that he was going to pick Lulu. And I've been practicing some champions against Lulu, and I think it was fine. I mean, I died once from the gank, which was, in my opinion, unexpected, because like, I'm always thinking that Nocturne can never gank early. I always have that mindset, so I was just like, I don't even know. I didn't even flash until like really late, until after I got feared, so it was really dumb. But it ended out well, and Lulu didn't get the kill, so it was still equal. And after I get Athenes and Blue as Nidalee, I kind of like outscale. Like, she can't poke me anymore at all, so.
It's actually something that I mentioned during the course of the game, that Lulu has very few bad matchups. Lulu bullies a lot of people, and there's very few champions that can actually counter her. Now, Nidalee seems to be a champion that can go even. In your mind, is there a counter? Is there a champion that can beat Lulu in the laning phase?
Depends on the Lulu. If the Lulu is like really high skilled, like top-notch Lulu, I personally think there's nothing that can beat Lulu. We've seen that in some solo queue players, on EU and Korea. Like, there's nothing that beats Lulu, a real good Lulu. So, but I mean, people haven't really practiced for that long, so it's not that hard to beat right now. So
maybe a quick follow-up on that. If we talk about Lulu, why do you pick Nidalee when we haven't seen it that often, and you seem to really love it? And how did it work? How does it work in team fights?
Nidalee is in team fights, you can't really go all in. You have to always stay behind and just throw spears and spam heal and throw traps for the tanks. That's pretty much all you can do in team fights. And then later on you can pick up by going Cougar form, but that's mainly it. You can only stand in the back line, just spam your spells. And
we actually have a very good example of that, how Nidalee goes in team fights.
Yeah, so let's actually pull up the replay on your screens. It's something that took place close to a dragon. Now, I want to start this one off by saying that you guys moved into the pit. Take a look at the fight, 16 minutes in. There's only a 3,000 gold lead. And as you were mentioning, Nidalee hanging back behind your front line. Let's roll the replay here and talk to me, what's going through your team's calling and your communication at this point in time?
They're just calling dragon, but wait.
So at this point in time, Mixer and Mr. Rolls come in, you see Impaler diving. Yeah. How do you respond to Impaler going in for the steal?
Thing is, before he dived in, we had him poked pretty hard, so we knew he was really low, so if he were to go all in, we would just instantly kill him and stop dragon. At one point, when we see him ulting, we just stop dragon, and we just go on him and just burst him down, and then we pick up dragon, just pick up the rest.
What is the communication like in your team when you see Impaler throw in? Like, who's yelling, and then who yells to chase afterwards?
The ones standing inside the pit, they just yell, kill Nocturne, kill Nocturne. And then we just all say, okay, can we catch these guys? Yeah, we can catch them, go, go.
They, of course, had another threat there, Zach, something we haven't seen that often either. Is that something you specifically geared up against, or was it not that big of a threat?
We had no clue that they were going to pick Zac and Nocturne, but they're not that strong picks, like they're tier 3 or something. Like, they're pretty low tires, and we weren't really scared going up against it. Like, we had no clue what it could do, but we knew after lane phase that we had pressure in every lane. Like, there was no way they could do anything. So Zac didn't really come into play at all.
I have to give you guys props and credit for the pressure you had in the lane, because it seemed as though you guys were playing fairly safe. for the most part. And it was only when a dragon was available or a buff was up that you wanted to steal that you challenged for. Was this a conscious decision considering you lost to Alliance playing a little risky last week?
When we played against Alliance, our risky plays and our aggressive playstyle even surprised me. Like I was thinking, wait, what? Because everyone's making like really aggressive calls, and then I'm thinking for myself, what is this? We've never played so aggressive, and then we started getting hyped and getting unfocused. So I don't know. This game we probably just thought of more like playing more safe and doing more safe things to not become overhyped.
So tomorrow, not too aggressive versus Alliance, because you of course have the rematch again coming up. How do you think you will do versus Froggen?
Against Froggen, well, right now the mid lane and well the solo laners the solo lanes are pretty boring because there's not much kill potential like 1v1. So it's usually just farm, wait for gank, objectives, nothing special. So going up against Froggen is not going to be that big of a deal. So.
Not that big of a deal. Well, we'll see. Congratulations once again. Great game from you. And now we're going to check in on what the fans are saying on Twitter. Of course, earlier today, we asked you to tell us who has been your European LCS top lane MVP so far and why. And here are just a few of your answers. The first one is from @LolJeturn. Top lane MVP in the EU LCS has to be Kevin. His stats make him stand out in a field of top laners that all lack major impact.
I'm chiming in on this one because I completely agree. I think Kevin's a player that we don't necessarily hype or talk about too much, but he's got the least deaths, the most kills, second most assists. He is phenomenal in the top lane. I would also say that your teammate Freddy is probably next in line if I were to give a silver medal.
Yeah, and you spotted that because our second tweet is from @7UC Dark Phoenix. My EU LCS top lane MVP has to be Freddy122. His Renekton was excellent, and he is the most consistent player in all the LCS. He is, of course, your teammate, so what can you say about Freddy?
Freddy is really, really good in this meta. That he's really, really good at tanks. Like he's really top level. Not much else to say. He's doing his job. So.
Consistently doing his job. And the last one is from @Dr. Hindsight. More than anyone, Rocket Zazas has stood out as an unstoppable top lane force, consistently dominating his opponents. That's strong words.
Considering it's coming from Dr. Hindsight, in hindsight, the Jax pick against the Aatrox, maybe not the smartest, but yes, for the rest of the performances, I think he's very solid. He's also got a fairly diverse champion pool, and we'll have to see if he can keep it up.
Well played, Trevor. Now, those tweets were definitely some MV tweets. Now, remember, you can follow us @LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS to dive into the chat. Now, let's send things back over to D-Man and the Fish Show to get into the next game.
Thank you very much, Shox, and hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and I'm happy to be joined by Mr. Martin Deficio Lunga. Almost. I'm getting there. And of course, we are going to bring you the next two games. And coming up now, it is going to be Millennium facing off against Gambit. And Millennium, well, they are currently 0 for 2 against Gambit. And the last time they met, they started off well, but were over-aggressive. And they really tried to push too hard against Gambit.
They did, but they actually won the early game with some very, very good ganks from Aranea. And the standard very, very strong Millennium early pressure we always see. But simply the lack of hard engage from Millennium's combo became an issue when they got into mid-game. Gambit started split pushing in every single lane, and they just avoided team fights and just simply beat Millennium in the small fights all over the map. And Aranea, even though he was ahead early, he couldn't really do anything because they never had these team fights. And the combos without a lot of engage, it is something we have seen in the last few weeks from Millennium. And it really hurts them. It makes fights really hard to set up in their favor. And it makes them rely a lot on winning early game and then try and force objectives like Baron, Dragon, or Turrets with like a pick combo. Or wait for the enemy team to make an engage, and then you have to win the team fight and take it from there. And, you know, the many different combos and, you know, kind of questionable decisions they have been doing in the mid-game Millennium in the past very many games have actually made them the most inconsistent team in the league. They're the only team to not win 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and it's become a problem. However, it is not all bad for Millennium as we start to see glimmers of hope. And it's in that teamfight transitions, really, that seems to be starting to come through.
Yeah, things have been looking better, especially teamfight-wise, as you're saying. Also, the decision-making once they go into this mid-game have improved. And also, they seem to have been finding the right picks for the players. Like, we have seen a lot of assassins onto Curb, and whenever he gets them, he's actually having a lot of impact. And also, Kevin, he's been very strong on bruisers. And talking about Kevin, he's #1 KD of top laners, and he's so consistent every single game. I don't recall him losing lane a single time. And the numbers, they back up his performance. He's rank 1 in KDA for top laners in Europe, and he's number 10 overall KDA-wise in both NA and Europe. That is insane. He's the top laner in Europe with the most kills, the least amount of deaths, and also his trundle. He has a KDA of 37 in 2 wins. That is pretty sick KDA. And then we have another guy with a very, very nice KDA, that's Creaton, whenever Millennium is actually winning. Because in 5 games where Millennium actually won, he had a score of 45 kills, 4 deaths, and 30 assists. That is insanely good stats. However, whenever Millennium they struggle, they lose, so does Creaton, and he's dropping all the way down to only 23 kills, 17 deaths, and 19 assists. That is kind of different numbers.
And just speaking to Wicked during that interview, you know, I did mention about the fact that, you know, that Kevin, Freddie as well, these are the top laners that have been doing fantastic. You know, talking about the top lane MVPs, and he was like, yeah, but no, the stats aren't everything. I didn't want to bring up the Trundle last week against Wicked. Well, Kevin absolutely dumpstered him, that's for sure. Yep. Of course, last week we saw Gambit in pajamas. They were playing, which was Edward and 4 subs, and honestly, they didn't do that bad.
They didn't. I was very impressed by the early game, which I actually consider better than the normal Gambit's early game. And it's simply because the normal Gambit, they rely so much on diamond procs to gank early on or pressure the enemy jungle. And then you have like Darian in the top lane, for instance. He will always get the farm he needs, but he's so easy to gank and get some kills off. And the dual lane from Gambit has been very hit and miss. So overall, Gambit in pajamas, stronger early, but team fights for Gambit, they're always very, very good. And we know that as long as they don't fall behind early, they will get the kills or, you know, the objectives they need for team fights. And we also have to remember, when we actually look at these small issues for Gambit, they're traveling a lot. It's going to affect them. They are probably the team who practices the least. So when we actually get towards playoffs, they start boot camping, we know how good Gambit can actually be.
That's it, and it's going to be interesting to see how they transition. Of course, they've had travel issues before, but last spring they were much stronger. There's no doubt about that. So what exactly is happening with Gambit in this split?
One thing they've been doing a lot different is they're testing out new picks. We know Gambit loves to try new things, but normally it's only Diamond who's really putting in new junglers. Now we have more. We have, for instance, the jungle set by Diamond. Yeah, that was a test. It worked for them. But then we had like the Kennen support from Edward. It's been mixed success. We have had stuff like Alistar support for Edward. That didn't go too well. We had the Shen jungle from Diamond. Didn't go too well. And also we had the Skarner, which was very, very lackluster, to be honest. But talking about the picks in general, Alex Ish versus Curb in the mid lane, that is a matchup of assassins. Both they share the same playstyle of wanting to win the lane and then impact the rest of the map. And both both teams really rely on these mid laners. So we see a lot of focus from the junglers there. And honestly, if one of these players can get an assassin and the other one can't, I think that can be a big difference. They've both combined 15 games of assassins in total, both of them. That is a lot. And all in all, they have said themselves how they want to play these assassins. They want to impact the map early on, get some early kills, roam bot lane, roam top, and also the junglers have openly said these 2 players are very important for us.
And I've constantly had conversations with the mid lane, especially Alex Itch at Worlds, after Worlds, when they got knocked out, by the way, at Worlds, and of course Peke for Fnatic. You know, I've talked about how he just loves seeing them always on assassins, but in their defense they said, well, that's great, but you know, we can't be the same tactic all the time. You have to change it up.
And that's one thing we need to remember for all the teams, because we are midway through the first split here. Teams need to keep new champions going. They need to find the right picks. They need to find the right different play styles, so it's not too easy to shut them down. So they do have a point, but there's nothing better than watching Alex play set and just dodge around the bells from a Gragas, for instance, versus Fnatic in actually the first loss Fnatic had. That was absolutely beautiful to see, and I would love to see it again.
Just going to see what fits. Let's check out those starting lineups, because on the blue side, it is going to be Millennium. In the top lane, well, he is top of the lanes right now. It is Kevin. Jungle is Aranea. He's managed to shout his way through every game. You'll know when things are happening for Millennium. Kirp in that mid lane. Creaton as the AD carry, and alongside him is Jerry as support.
And on the red side, we have Gambit Gaming, where we have Darian, the Swag Lord, in the top lane. We have Diamond in the jungle. Alex is the mid laner. Genji as the AD carry. And of course, we have Edward on support.
Yeah, no red tracksuit this time for Darian.
A little bit disappointing.
Yeah, and I saw him walking around. There was no red tracksuit, but don't fear, because Gambit are staying here this week, because obviously we have Super Week starting out on Tuesday. They're not going to be traveling back to Russia. They're going to stay in Cologne and practice hard. So look out next week. Here we go. Picks and bans getting underway. What are we expecting from here?
I'm honestly expecting a LeBlanc band. I'm not sure for which team, but LeBlanc has been gone the last 5 Gambit games, and I expect it to stay that way. Also, Kha'Zix against Alex, it needs to be taken away. Kassadin, obviously, simple ban. Kale has been popular for someone like Gambit, but we haven't. I'm not sure with the new patch if he's actually going to be banned away.
Do you think we're going to see an Evelyn ban because both Diamond and RNA play it?
We could potentially see it, but it also means that both teams know how to play against it. And maybe they can use that to their advantage and more or less punish the Evelyn pick if the other team goes for it. Generally though, looking from the first few bans, Kha'Zix and LeBlanc, very standard bans to go against both these mid laners.
And it's interesting to see the blue team, Millennium, banning out that Kassadin.
It's simply because Kerb, he doesn't play it. Kerb, we haven't seen him play Kassadin, we've never even heard about Kassadin from Kerb's side, so they have to ban it away. And these teams, they know it, like Gambit know Kerb isn't playing it, so that's why Millennium has to ban it away.
Lulu not banned out so far. Big smile on Alex's face. I wonder if they're going to go straight for a first pick here, Millennium, where they're going to use it. We saw Alliance doing it in the first game. Of course, they used it for their support, though.
They used it for the support, that was smart, but we haven't actually seen much Lulu from Jerry or Kerb. It doesn't seem like his style of champion, so I'm not sure if Millennium want to go for it or they want to maybe early pick an AD carry. Lucian, for instance, would be open here with Caitlyn banned away, and then you force also Genji to go into the Jinx, and then you can put some hard engage onto him, maybe lock him down.
Could be leaving the Annie open as well, don't forget. Edward will almost certainly lock it up. Elise in there has been the first pick once again. Always one of those go-to first champions.
It's simply just an overall strong jungler in every single aspect. It works in every single combo, and you don't show your tactic when you pick this Elise. Smart enough, take it away also from Diamond, and see if you can then shut him down by finding him with this Elise in the 1v1 or 2v2 scenarios.
And this really does leave a lot of choices open for Gambit. Like we said, the Annie in there for Edward. You remember that 3-man, 4-man Tibbers he used in that Baron pit. A lot of choices available for Gambit.
We have AD carries like Lucian open for Genji. We have the Lulu mid open for Alex if he wants to play. We have the Warwick Renekton open for someone like Darien. Dr. Mundo obviously still left open. There's so many picks, and I don't even think Gambit worries too much about this Elise, because look at all the junglers open. Pantheon there, we have Wukong, Olaf jungle, we have something like a Lee Sin jungle. There's many options for them.
It looks like it may well be that duo lane for Genja and Edward. Of course, they weren't playing together last week, so this will be synergy having to be refound. He was alongside Fury last weekend. Of course, they went 1-1 with Edward, the only member from Gambit, but it is going to be Annie and Lucian in the bottom.
And that's such a perfect combo for Gambit, because they want to have this Lucian, so they don't rely on the positioning from Genji with a Jinx or Varus. So now he has Lucian. Overall, very strong pick. Good against pretty much everything in lane. You have the long range poke from Annie. A lot of damage. We saw in Rated on it last game how strong Annie is. If you land at tables on multiple people, the damage you have early mid game as well. So very good combo for Gambit. And it should signal that they want to make sure they win this bot lane.
Well, we went in to see what Millennium are going to go with. It will be the Leona, standard counter against the Annie these days, and the Sivir, so they really are countering Gambit's pick so far.
It works as long as Leona can actually get onto Annie, because Annie, she has the long range, she has a good poke from distance, you can keep Leona away in the early stages of the game. Also, you have Lucian who will outrange the Sivir, so it's actually a very risky lane for Millennium early on, but once they hit the level 6 mark, you can pop the ultimate from Sivir with Elise there, land the stun from Leona, and then you can engage in with your jungler and you can easily turn around for a kill. Or generally when you get to team fights, the amount of engage you can do with Elise and Leona, and Sivir ultimate, it is insane how fast your team can get in there.
What will Alexich go with? Will we see that Lulu that he favoured so heavily for that mid lane? Obviously Millennium have some sort of counter prepared for this. LeBlanc was banned out, which we saw Kurt running so heavily. There is the Lulu being hovered over, and there could be the Evelyn for Diamond.
And I really, really love this Lulu pick, because look at all the hard engage. Oh, I absolutely love Swain. I'm just going to put it out. I really, really love Swain.
Locked it in.
Whoa!
The first Swain, I believe, of the European LCS, and I don't even recall seeing it in North America yet, along with, of course, Lee Sin for RNA.
So it's going to be Elise top lane for Kevin. We're going to have Lee Sin jungle. Against this Evelyn, he want to be able to spot her out, find her, take some fights with her, maybe counter gank a bit. But this Swain pick up against Lulu. Swain is a very strong champion as long as he's not against like an assassin type that can get into his face, burst him down. Because the sustain you have with Swain, the sustained damage you have, if he's against somebody like Lulu who can't burst him down, he might even be able to win the fights 1v1 and actually do really well against her.
Please God, don't let it be Yorick in that top lane. We'll see what Darian's going to go with. This will be up against an Elise. What would you run against an Elise?
Against an Elise, something like Renekton should work fine. Shyvana will have a few issues early on, but then she will outscale Elise very, very hard. And also Elise has very little amount of split push.
Aatrox. That's a champion Darren played a lot to great success in the summer.
And it's a very early game aggression champion. He has a lot of damage early on. He can dual Elise, try and shut her down early. And also, even if he should get killed, he has his passive to revive back up. And yeah, this is a Darren champion. You have your jump to escape. You can push really, really hard. You have some decent wave clear. And also, you can just do this all-in split pushing constantly. And even when you get caught out, it takes a lot of time to kill you, so the rest of your team can do something else.
So two very different comps coming out from Millennium versus Gambit here. Clearly both of these teams have been working on what are they going to do to counter one another in this game.
And both these combos share the same thing with very good engage. You have the Leona ultimate, and you pop the Sevi ultimate, and you just go straight into the face of Gambit. On the other side, you have the Tippers, you have Evelyn coming in from the side, popping her ultimate, you have Aatrox jumping in there, getting the Lulu ultimate to knock people up. So there are so many options for both teams to start fights, and also both teams are so tanky. Killing a Swain is very, very hard. Killing a Lulu is also very, very hard. So pretty much every single member of the team, except for maybe 80 carries, are actually very hard to kill.
And of course, remember we are on 4.2 this week. The picks and bans are in, so let's check out your votes for this game. LOLesports.com is where you've been, and you have voted 87% in favor of Gambit. We'd also like to remind you that you can join us here in the studio to watch these games live. Just head over to LOLesports.com, click on tickets for all of the details. Tickets are now available for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I believe.
I believe so as well. And looking at the votings for this one, 87% on Gambit. They are the favorites, of course, but we still need to see more consistent play from Gambit. So I think it's a little let's say 60% in my opinion, actually.
You think? Okay, we'll see how this one works out. Remember, Millennium, they've been going one-on-one quite a lot. Gambit themselves, Gambit in pajamas last week, of course. They had a lot of substitutes standing in because of those Russian visa issues. But that does also mean that Gambit have had a lot of time to practice together. Let's see what team turns up today as we head into the game. Millennium starting out as the blue team, and they are, of course, up against Gambit as the red team from top to bottom. So, what will we see from level 1?
Looking lane-wise, very early on, bot lane from Gambit should have the advantage with the very long-range poke they have. The mid lane, Lulu should be able to poke out Swain. He's a bit of a slow starter, he needs a few levels and his ultimate to really start doing these 1v1s. And notice here, Millennium actually want to go aggressive in. Maybe they just want to go in and try and catch someone out or get a D-board later on to spot where Evelyn starts.
Millennium, of course, they are one of the few teams that do go for those big 5-man invades, and they seem to be setting up for this one. They are going to see Genja off at the side there, but I think he will have caught vision of them all as well, which means Millennium will step away. Of course, there's wards not off cooldown on the trinkets yet, so haven't been able to place any wards just yet.
It would be the smart thing for Millennium, though, if they really want to spot out Evelyn, to get in and get a ward around the Wraith camp or maybe the Wolf camp or the blue buff, because the way you spot Evelyn is by having wards on the camps, so you see her clear them, because that's where she pops out of stealth. Otherwise, she's just going to walk around, you won't really notice her. Like here, Amneer is actually going to spot him.
He gets a little bit of a hate spike on towards Aranate. Starts off the first scratch of the nails, but not too worried about that one.
So we really need to pay attention also to this top lane. You have the Dawn's Ring Elise, very aggressive early start, a lot of early game damage. And also you have the Aatrox. We know how good he is, how much damage he can do early on. We also know how risky it is, because you can't have to all in, you need to jump in with him. If the enemy jungler is there, you will be punished, because that is your jump. You need to use it to get into the face of Elise and actually really get some damage onto her.
As it stands, it looks like it's going to be a red buff start for both junglers. We do see Arane, he's down the bottom. No help, though, from his bottom lane. So it tells me that Creaton and Jerry, they want to get the jump on Genja and Edward. They want to get the level 2 first.
Yeah, they simply want to make sure that they're not getting pressured out early on, because with Leona, if you do get pressured out early, there's no way to come back before you get some levels, and there's a lot of CS you're going to lose. So they wanted to make sure they were there early to push the wave. And you see Gambit straight away. They're just taking full control of the lane with the range.
Well, Edward has built up that stun, lands it on towards Creaton. Jerry somehow sidestepped it. It looked like it was going to land on him, but he didn't get stunned up. But instead, it will be looking like level 2 for Gambit first.
They will be getting it first, so you see Millennium already backing off. They want to make sure they're not being caught out in the lane. Once to level 2 hits for Gambit side, so they force the flash away, or maybe even just dying. Smart enough. Back to top lane though. Kevin very aggressive early on. Darren had already been pulled down a little bit.
So who do we give this lane to? Because this is not a lane we are used to seeing. You know, that we haven't seen an Elise versus Aatrox probably since the summer of 2013. I do recall Elise being fairly popular by the likes of Soaz. He had a crazy win stats like 87% on it.
Very early on, I will give it to Elise. She has very high damage in the early stages. Also, the fact she has to execute, because Darren, he will go low when he uses his ability, so with the execute onto the spider form Q from Kevin, it's a lot of extra damage onto Darren. You see Aaron here, he's already up here in top lane. He might want to kill Darren early on.
Poison coming down, has got Cocoon available, maybe he's going to throw it out. It will not quite catch. Darren just jumping away from that one early.
And that was the jump we talked about from Aatrox. It makes him escape really easily. It's also very good for him to engage with, but that's the risky part. So smart by him, he didn't use it here, he just waited with it, jumped back to turret when he saw Aaron here.
Well, potential counter coming out from Diamond. I think he's just going to go straight for the golems though. He knows that Aaron is off in the top lane, which means he's going to get straight in towards Aaron's jungle and take away those golems gold.
And he stays around this bot lane in case something should happen. Aaron though, he's very far away, he's going to go for the raid, so it will be very, very risky to dive this one, and I think Diamond will just back off.
But Diamond's been spotted out there. J-Ree's going to go in because the Zenith blade on towards Edward. Edward happy to turn it back around, put the stun on J-Ree, but Diamond didn't want a part of that. He's just going to walk off and go for more farming.
And look how well Gambit is using, again, this early game power they have with Annie and Lucian. They simply try and zone away Sivir from all the CS. Kraton is already fairly low on mana, so he won't be able to use his Q too often to actually CS with. So Gambit is doing a nice job of simply trying to keep him down.
Kraton popping that spell shield a little bit early there. Eddie had only just simply used a basic attack. Aaron here now rotating down towards his bottom lane. Let's see if he's going to go aggressive.
There is a ward in the tribal drop here, so they will spot him if he tries to run around. So he actually relies on J-Ree to land his stun, and then he jumps safeguards into him and he started. But no, he backs away.
I wonder if they're going to try and bait this one. You can see Diamond moving into position here, and purposely Genja and Edward are sticking around. They're purposely trying to bait it in, but Aranea is not taking that bait, and he's heading for the mid.
It's so smart what Diamond is actually doing on Evelyn, because you can stand in the middle of the lane and you will not be noticed by the minions. So it's very easy for him to get in for the counter gank if Aranea is there. They did see him back off though, so Diamond was just there for safety, and now he's wise enough backing off, gonna go shop and then continue his farming.
Of course, these are two junglers that really excel at trying to find kills, trying to be aggressive. We'll see whether that over-aggression gets punished by either team so far. This mid lane, we haven't seen a great deal of it right now. It is Kerb up against Alexic, which is Lulu versus Swain.
And the good thing for Kerb is, as long as he can keep almost even in farm, get the farm he needs early on, build up the Rod of Ages early, and then go into more damage items like maybe a Sonya's or Death Cap, go that route, he will be strong when he gets to team fights. He just needs to make sure he can get all the farm here in the lane and not give up any kills for Alex.
Alexic keeping fear on that bottom lane, just stepping into the bush, making a little bit of insecurity, and look at that, they pinged on towards the bush. They're assuming that Alex actually just put a ward in there. Clever play from Alex, maybe trying to bait out Aranea to go towards the top, where he wants to put that ward.
Yeah, it's actually very smart. If you can get on us, oh, snare hitting from Kerb.
Does get the snare down, doesn't really do a great deal of damage. That bird, of course, taking away the damage from Kerb, just keeping the tick on towards him. Aranea is going in towards the top lane, but we can see Darien is already backing off.
And we're actually back to the mid lane there. We had the snare coming in from Kerb. The general combo you want to do, if you can, is eat them first, then you apply your Q, which slows them, and then you snare them afterwards to get the full damage, because your E will increase damage taken by the rest of your abilities. So if he can manage to land that, he will actually do quite a lot of damage onto Alex, but he has the shield and his ultimate, so it's going to be very hard for Kerb to actually kill him.
Yeah, of course, he is maxing out Torment, which is that E, so that's what Kerb's going for right now. Put 3 points into it. Meanwhile, of course, Alexic lingering around this middle lane. You can see Kerb there using his Scarecrow form to just farm out that wave. And if there is a big wave there, it's dangerous times for Alexic. He does not want to engage when that's happening.
No, it was smart by him, because he knew if he moved forward, Kerb would try and land the snare, and then Aranea could come in from the side potentially. But also, look at how well Kerb is actually keeping his mana, because every time he gets a minion kill, he gets mana from his passive, and he's been using it really well. Alex has been using a lot of mana and trying to harass him early on. It simply meant that now he can't harass him anymore.
Well, we saw Diamond taking away the large Wraith again. He's heading on down. No early aggression from either team. They may be learning from previous sessions, but Diamond now is going to come around to Kerb. And we are going to see Alexic going, no mana on Alexic, you can't go for it.
Exactly, no mana, they can't go for it. Down in the bot lane though, some aggression. J-Ree, he tries to go in, get some poke down and then back off. It's very smart play by him, especially because Kraton is fairly low in the background, so as long as they hit J-Ree, it's okay for the bot lane.
Getting close to level 6 here, these two bottom laners, so as soon as those ultimates come out, we may well see Edward going for that flash Tibbers. Both are available. Kraton just getting poked low enough. He has got On the Hunt coming up in a few moments to try and get out of there along with the solar flow of J-Ree, but could be a hard engage coming out from Gambit.
So back to the top lane though, which we talked about earlier on, who would win early. Darren is actually doing a very nice job with his farming. He's gone back, he picked up a Vampire Scepter, so he has more sustain. And Kevin is actually more or less forced to stay away and try and CS from a distance, while Darren, he's just farming away. So he's actually winning this lane at the moment.
Doing a very good job, and once he starts getting that farm going, he's going to be happy building up that blood well that he gets on Darien. A lot of champions in positions we're not used to seeing. Of course, Darien was played by... Darien wasn't played. Aatrox was played by Freddy last week. Maybe he was in disguise, I don't know. Englishman as a Russian, who knows? The Swag Lord maybe did make an appearance. It looks like they're going to go aggressive, though. The Bloodwell, of course, is available for Darien, and it may well be required. He is going to get taken down. Did pop his ultimate. Kevin ready and waiting to try and go back on for this one, but has to step away.
It was a very nice play by Kevin, showing the all-in potential is in his favor against Darien. He popped the ultimate from Darien's side, but it wasn't enough to actually take down Kevin. So now he popped the passive. It means that if Aranea decides to come up there, they can easily dive him or generally just pick up a kill.
Well, both blue buffs were picked up by the mid laners. We do see aggression on towards Creator. Flash Tibbers was on it enough. The Ignite is running. One more tick should take him down. It's Edward with first blood yet again.
And just as you mentioned earlier, once the Tibbers was there from Edward, he could just pop it into the face of Creator. They've done such a good job keeping him low or keeping him around the 50% mark through the entire laning phase, and there was nothing Millennium could do to actually hit it back. So just overall very nice play, waiting for level 6, then went all in for it, Ignite, Tibbers, everything, and he didn't spell shield it.
Big wave pushed in, but Kerp should be able to clear that one out. Ports him into bird firm and takes down all those minions. Tries to use the never move, and Alexic not going to get caught out with that one. Both blue buffs on these mid laners now, and both have been back to buy. You can see Rod of Age is almost completed by Kerp. Meanwhile, the Athene's an Holy Grail for Alexic.
And it's actually very, very big for Kerp, the fact he's getting his Rod of Ages so early, because he's gotten the farm he needs in the lane. Next time he backs off, he will be able to complete it and then stack it up. And actually becoming a very strong item when you get it this early, so it's very nice for him. He's going to get him the mana he needs, and he might be trying to go aggressive on Alex.
Just try and go for it, never move, almost caught, had to flash out of it. RNA did follow it through, and you can see Alexic using that wild growth, nearly got him down. The Ignite is running. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Darien trying to run away from this one, but Ed Diamond is going to come in towards Kevin. Kevin got no escape now. He's already repelled on this one. He will go down. Darien using the ultimate to finish him off.
Great counter gang by Diamond. It was actually Darien who had pushed the lane all the way up to the turret. So Diamond expected Kevin to go for Darien, win the fight, so he was there, stuck around, moved in once actually Kevin went aggressive and picked up the kill. Very nice play.
That massacre being used perfectly by Darien. So winning out that lane, and that's no small feat up against Kevin, who we talked about, you know, the top KDA, the really by far leading member of the top lane.
And that's even a big advantage for Gambit, the fact that he's winning on CS, but he actually didn't win 1 versus 1. Oh, they're going on Edward.
Zenith Blade on Edward, but I'm not too sure whether they're going to follow through on this one. Jerry does try and keep the pressure on towards him, and he happily just pops that molten shield and walks away.
So again, it's an issue for Kevin, the fact he can actually beat Darien 1v1, but he can't simply kill him now. Will we potentially see a fight? They're going in!
Zenith Blade on Edward, Solar Flare's going to follow through this time. They will take him down. The kick from RNA forces him straight back. Kraton gets the kill.
And very nice use here of both Safeguard on the hunt and also Jiri to go in, land the CC, pick up the kill. This could potentially be a dragon for Millennium, but Diamond is nearby. Will he try and stop this one?
They try and sneak in on this. He has been spotted out there. Zenith Blade doesn't quite land. And Genja's doing a lot of work off the side, and that's going to force him away. The damage on Kraton. Genja takes himself down. He's going to go on towards RNA now. We do see Kerp coming around the side, but Alexic is going to head them off. He forces them away. Diamond's going to continue following. We do see Never Move landing on Alexic, but Kerp could be the focus target now. Diamond coming around one side, Genja on the other. The hate spike's landing through. Kerp has to flash away.
Very, very big mistake by Millennium and Kraton. Kraton, he was tanking the dragon while the rest of Millennium were moving away. So he got so low that Genja could come in from the side with Diamond, pick up an easy kill, and then chase them down. And the damage from Kerp, we just saw it here, is not where it should be yet. He needs some items first.
Big wave being pushed up by Kevin. Darien was off at the side there, taking down the golems. He's just going to farm out. Hasn't got that Bloodwell available yet. Uses the ultimate already. Kevin may be able to take him down here. Repels away. The Ignite does the job. Walks away like a boss.
Again, he's behind in CS, but he's still actually winning the lane just by the fact he can constantly go onto Darien and try and pick up a kill. This was again due to the fact he took the passive from Darien early on, that he simply just dived him. He had the Ignite ready, just went straight on him, and we saw the execute on Spider Form Q, how good it is versus someone like Aatrox, who's always low on HP.
And that Haunting guy is completely starting to look a lot more focused in that top lane. Of course, we did see Darien go back and get that Negatron cloak, so he's trying to counter it as best he can, but as you just saw, not really working out so well for Darien just yet. He did, of course, get that kill with the help of Diamond earlier on.
That was important for him, but just the fact that you can actually get dived 1v1, and there's no risk of even Kevin dying, that is a big issue, because he will keep doing this, he'll keep trying to do it. It means Diamond has to put more attention on top lane, and less on maybe mid or bot lane. And we saw if Aonia can come down bot again, with the ultimate, from Leona to start the fight. They should be able to pick up some more kills, while Diamond is stuck in the top lane trying to help out Darien.
We're seeing these two mid laners, they've been farming pretty well. We do see actually Alexic is ahead by around about 10 CS because they did try and force Kerp out of lane earlier. But how are they going to transition? How is it going to work? We're up to level 10 now. Once we start getting into that team fight phase, who is the better to have on your team?
Both actually have their own kind of role. You have the more utility-based Lulu, who's going to help out the rest of the team, speed them up, slow the enemy team down. Gonna have some decent damage. Same actually goes to Swain. He has decent damage as well. He's never gonna hit the point where he just destroys someone, like one-shots them. But he's gonna be very tanky, very hard to deal with. I expect him to also pick up a Sonyas, so he's gonna be even more hard to kill. And Jerry going aggressive in bot.
Edward caught out once again. Solar Flare this time used. Diamond does come it down, but he wasn't there close enough. We can see RNA just walking away from this one. They could do nothing to stop Edward going down yet again.
And once again, the combo from Millennium with Leona and with the Lee Sin. Pop down the ultimate from Leona, CC a target, he safeguards in, and he picks up an easy kill.
And this is what, we talked about, the fact that once they hit that level 6, level 7, it is full engage from Jerry. He's just farming Edward right now.
And that's actually what he's doing to go on Genja now.
Well, Zenith Blade caught on Genja, and he doesn't panic too much, and instead just turns around and keeps those double attacks going from Lucian.
But Millennium is doing what they should do with this lane. Yes, they knew they would lose early on, but they just waited for level 6 before Anir actually showed there for the real gank. And as soon as they were level 6, they just started ganking it. They can keep doing this, because next time around, if Edward flashes the ultimate, you just wait for it to be ready again from Leona, and you just do the same. Again and again, there's no chance for Gambit to actually stop it.
Speaking of doing the same, Kevin is putting more pressure back onto Darien. Has got his blood well available now, but I think we're starting to see Kevin start to dominate this lane. You can see that tower taking a lot of damage. Darien constantly going away. Kerp in the mid lane, he's taking pressure from Alex. You can see keeping that Glitterlance going, keeping that Pix running on towards him. Never move is going to get used off, but Alex is dominating this lane now.
And the blue buff from Alex means he can just spam out his Q all the time onto Kerp. And Kerp can't really get to him because it's very hard to land the Nevermore from max range. So it's easy for Alex to just stay back, constantly poke him, shove the wave down. Kerp is still doing a fairly good job farming, especially also on the tower. And he also has his Rod of Ages, which is his key item early on.
Sweeping lens from Eddie. Going to take down that dragon. Ken just started off. I don't think Edward really fancied tanking that dragon there and wasn't too happy with his AD carry, but they will start trying to take it down. Aranea has managed to land that Sonic Wave. Don't think he landed it on towards him. Has to safeguard in, and now he's in trouble. Solar Flare comes down from Jerry, but he's going to have to try and back away from this one. Edward taking a lot of damage. Puts Tibbers down on towards Ed. Aranea has to safeguard away on towards that minion, who we see Alex is chasing in there. He's got nowhere to go. Oh, catches the Sonic Wave on towards the golems and gets away like that. Nicely done. Diamond's still not done yet. He's looking to come around the bottom lane. We see Jerry very low. He could land those hate spikes. Goes in towards him. One more hate spike. The shield is on him. Diamond's going to try and finish him off here. He's going to get one more hit. The hate spike should manage to land the brave. He does manage to flash towards it. Kraton. Oh, that boomerang blade is going to come back. Lands damage on Diamond, but he gets away. Alex Ditch comes around the side. Picks him straight off. We didn't quite catch it on the corner there, but Kraton goes down.
And that was such a nice chase by Gambit. Everything actually started when Millennium went in 3 vs 3 on the dragon, and now Kerp being caught out.
Darien going on towards Kerp. How is this one going to work out? Top laner versus mid laner. We do see Kerp. He's going to pop that ultimate. Can he try and get the lifesteal? The Ignite was running. He's going to be able to jump straight on towards him, Darien. Remember, Darien's got Bloodwell. Alex Hitch comes in. Kerp is going down. Alex gets himself another.
And Gambit is simply punishing Millennium every time they make a wrong move on the map. First of all, they went in to try and stop the dragon 3 vs 3, while Alex here shoved the wave in mid lane all the way down to the turret. So he could roam, Kerp couldn't. That meant he could come in, join the fight from Gambit after they killed the dragon, chased them down, picked up 2 kills. Later on, Darien, he just abandoned his top lane turret because he knew he couldn't defend it, and he went down mid, and Kerp, he was pushing out the wave, caught out of position, and then Alex could just join in as well and pick up another kill. So the fact that Alex had the pressure in mid and were able to roam, and then Millennium was kind of a little bit too aggressive, they actually ended up losing a lot of kills, and also the dragon.
We'll see how the fact that Darien's not building tank whatsoever, he's going full aggression. Got that Ravenous Hydra already completed, along with that Negatron cloak he picked up a long time ago. In terms of teams, what are we going to see? We're starting to get to that 5v5 stage, although Genja again, this is the most aggressive Genja I've seen in a long time, by the way.
He really wants to get some kills. Like, he was probably mad not being here last week because he couldn't speak English properly. So he's here now. He wants his revenge, picking up kills, being very aggressive in lane. Early Bloodthirster also, getting some good stacks on this one. Or not early, but a Bloodthirster. Going in towards the static shift for some more wave clear and also some more upfront burst. But what we can expect is most likely to Darien to try and stay in this top lane and push. That's why he has the Hydra to shove out the wave even faster. But Kevin, he will be able to hold him and also duel him early. Or duel him 1v1.
Well, of course, we did have dragon control for Gambit as well. continuing to keep their dragon stats. I think that's what, 42 dragons I believe they've taken. I think they're one of the league leaders in terms of taking dragons down, as opposed to what Fnatic's 21 it was before the start of the game. Crazy stuff. So Gambit really have great objective control, and now we're seeing potentially Darian, well, he's actually off at the side, but it's going to be Lucian that they're focusing on the hunt being used. Zenith Blade does land, Solar Flare's going to follow through. Genja taking solo, he's going to get dropped. It's J-Ree that picks up the kill. Meanwhile, Gambit, they were trying to make a play on Kerp in mid.
So once again, we see the same gang in bot lane, same procedure, pop Civi ultimate, Tari goes in, lands the stun, and then Aranea is there, helping ping up the kill. Meanwhile though, Kerp, he might get dive here.
Kerp getting caught out, he's in trouble, he's not going to get out of this one. It's going to be Gambit with a revenge on that mid lane, and they may take themselves an inner turret while they lose the outer down the bottom.
And this is the second time Darren is roaming from the top lane and Kevin is staying top. He's just shoved the wave all the way out, while Darren, he was gone for a long time. They actually spotted him early on where he failed the first dive because Kevin flashed. Kerp flashed. Kevin, he stayed top. He didn't even go down to try and help. So Kerp, he was left alone at the turret. Easy dive for Gambit. And all in all, what Darren has just been doing is just shove the wave, go down mid, try and set something up against Kerp.
Kevin is going to try and catch out Genja here, but he is playing this very cautiously, staying well away from that corner edge. Doesn't want to get too close to the jungle, and he will just take down this minion wave. Kevin's still laying in wait. Is he going to try and land that cocoon? Oh, Genja's going to walk around to it. Doesn't land the cocoon. Not even close. Genja was easily going to dash out of that one.
Kevin was hoping for him to actually go down to the golems and then he could catch him out, but he spotted him. Wisely enough, he just dashed the cocoon. No chance taken from Genja's side.
Spider going to go in. Not going to happen. Genja gets the gold. They're going to go back. Genja gets the gold again. Can't mess with an AD carry when it turns the last hit in. They are kings of that game.
So we have a Giants build now onto Kevin's side, so you want to build a bit more tanky. Maybe for the team fights, you could potentially go for something like a Sunfire to be a bit more hard to kill, at least for someone like Genja. And it would be very smart with this very physical lineup as well, with both Aatrox and Genja doing a lot of damage in the fights.
You know, talking about the kings of last hits, Genja is absolutely dominating Kraton in terms of farm right now. He's got a 50 CS lead, and this is a massive danger side for Millennium, because Gambit, as we talked about, generally are not that strong in the lane phase, yet when we see Genja, the AD carry, who normally is off on his own farming, which he's kind of trying to do now, when he's ahead, he will be looking for kills, and that may well be what he's doing right now.
And it seemed also because they had this very strong early lane. We saw it when they just locked in Annie and Lucian as the first two picks. We knew they were going for to win the lane, and we knew they wanted to win this one, and then later on, they want to have Genji in front, have some kills on him, and then be very, very strong in the team fight, so they don't have to rely on him split pushing to get some farm later on.
Alexic and Darian deep in enemy territory here. J-Ree's going to come in there, but Darian fancies this one. He's going to try and turn that damage back around. He will take away the red buff. He's going to try and walk away. Kraton wants to pop that Bloodwell. He can just jump straight into the Dragon Pit.
And that was such a Darian move. He did the red buff, he was more or less alone. Alex was nearby, but still far away, and they're catching out Kevin.
Kevin in all sorts of trouble. Where's he going to repel to? Has to flash away. The Glilance is going to come through. Nevermore finds through. Alexic punts it in, tries to flash away, but he goes straight into the jaws of Kraton.
And this combo from Millennium is so good at catching out targets. This time around it was actually Kevin being caught, but due to his repel and then flash into the rest of his team, they could pop the ultimate from Kraton and just go in, pick up a kill, and potentially this mid turret.
But they've got no minions. They have to tank it out. They should be able to take it down. There's the minion line coming in now, but it is a little late. You can see J-Ree will tank it through. They're going to keep pushing because looking at the top, looking at the bottom, we do see Genja and Darian continuing to farm.
Darren is moving up here. He's still far away. Diamond is on the side. He wants to try and get a flank engage, and Edward is there with Tibos and Flash. Gambit, they can go for this one when Darren is close by.
Darian comes in. He's going to go head-to-head with the team. Realizes he can't take 4-on-1. Does try and back away. Diamond tries to get a little pick on towards J-Ree. Steps off to the side. Darian continues to get chased. Oh, he's caught up by Aranea. Aranea doesn't have that kick available. And now they may try and turn this one. Diamond's coming in the side. Still doesn't have that ultimate available, though. So it would be very aggressive move for him.
But the Dragon is up now, and Gambit want to make sure they don't give it for free to Millennium. They want this Dragon again. They are so good at timing these and also setting up the right fights. But there's full vision in this Dragon Pit for Millennium, and there are 5 members. Will they potentially go for it? Or it looks like they're just going to back off and try and steal it with Aranea.
We're going to see if Aranea can go for it. He's waiting in the wings. He's got that ward there. No pink ward's being spotted, so he has perfect timing on this one, Aranea. He's going to try and catch Diamond out. Not fast enough. Didn't fancy it.
No, didn't fancy it. Wise enough by him. Don't want to give up a kill. He didn't have his flash either to get out again. He would have to rely on actually being able to get to the edge and then safeguard over.
Well, wards from Genja placing out. So as you can see, it is a near 6,000 1,000 gold lead for Gambit. A 4-4 in turret, so all square so far. Inner turret in the mid lane down for Gambit. Meanwhile, of course, the mid lane also down for Millennium, so big open mid lane so far.
And we'll have to see later on which defensive items the teams go for, because both combos actually have very good amount of physical damage, but also amount of magic damage. Millennium may be lacking a little bit due to only having Sivir, but also Lee Sin, he does provide some physical damage, and Sivir itself will be fairly strong, will be able to dish out some good damage. And on Gambit side, you have Lulu, Evelynn, and Annie with the magic damage, and then you have the two, Lucian and Darien, with their physical damage. So we need to see how Millennium actually wants to build defensive, and also how Gambit will.
So is Genji going to go for a QSS here, Quicksilver Sash, to try and get out of those stunts, or will it be a Ghost, a Guardian Angel?
I think a Guardian Angel will be the better for him, or maybe a Banshees to stop the ulti coming down from Leona. Simply what he can do is just staying far back when the engage actually happens from Millennium side, and then join in as soon as all the ultimates from Leona is gone, the hard CC is gone. Oh yeah, go Guardian Angel in case you should be caught out, or simply go Banshee to block the ultimate.
We'll see which way it develops. As it stands, Darian's off on his own, and it's a 3-1 split push, which we've seen Roccat pretty much developing, and the rest of the league starting to mimic throughout the season now. We can see Alexic along the top, Darien on the bottom, but Millennium, they're going to try and push that mid lane again.
They want to just more or less force Gambit to move away from these lanes because they don't want to go duel them one by one. Kenya, he's out of position here. Millennium could potentially try and shove this one up, but look at here. Darien coming in from the side again, Lulu on the other side. Gambit might fancy a fight.
It's a big pincer move for Gambit. I'm not too sure if they want to make it, and they are going to slowly back away. Potential Baron opportunity for Millennium, but it would be suicidal surely with Gambit still with 5 members available. Darien and Kevin, meanwhile, in this mid lane, are going to get aggressive upon. Darien will just get away, but the Cocoon's going to land. The rest of Millennium coming in, but a quick culling coming out. Darien has to flash away from that one. Genja now going to get caught out. He's going to run for it. Solar Flare lands. Millennium pounce, and Genja has to dash away from this one. Darien may well be the sacrificial lamb. He has got Bloodwell available. The rest of Gambit come in there. Diamond manages to land his ultimate across all of Millennium, and now Alexic focuses on towards Kevin. Kevin goes down. Kurt running for his life. Nevermore not going to land in the right spot, and he has to flash away as well. Darien's going to jump straight in towards him. Doesn't manage to land the damage. Edward with Tibbers already down, but Gambit get themselves the kill.
So there's such a long chase by Millennium. They pop the Sivir ultimate, they pop the Unomo ultimate. Alex, he wants more.
Oh, Kraton's going to go down here. That's just going to be a pop from Alexic. Sped himself up, and that is the bonus of a Lulu. You have a massive speed buff. Darien, meanwhile, he's kiting Kerp, and the rest of Gambit are closing in towards him. Where are you going to go? Flash Tibbers again, not Flash Tibbers, Flash Stun. Doesn't matter, got excited. Kerp's going to go down. Nevertheless, who will it be that gets the kill? JV goes down the bottom as well, and that is 3 kills with no response for Gambit.
So funny enough, it's actually Millennium who starts the whole chase. Pop the Sivir ultimate, pop the Leona ultimate onto Genji, who escapes, and then the rest of Gambit simply comes around, joins in for the fight. We saw Diamond flashing the wall, popping ultimate down to 5 members, starting everything for Gambit. And then they start chasing on to Millennium. And due to Lulu with the speed up, she managed to catch on to Kraton, pick that a kill, and damn, he just around. Aranea now going in.
Aranea kicks Darien. I don't think he cares. He's just going to keep on hitting the turret. Quite happy to take a hill. He will get caught by Kevin. He's going to go down. Darien's dead. It will be Kraton that picks up a kill, but they got themselves a next inner turret.
Definitely worth it for Gambit. They got the turret, and also Millennium is far, far away. They won't be able to go for something like Baron because they're not in position at all. Edward, he will be caught out.
Edward is in all sorts of trouble. The repel will show him up there. He does manage to get the stun on Kevin. Now, can he walk away from this one? He hasn't got flash, remember. And Kevin is going to catch on towards him. Dodds the Cocoon. No, not quite. And it's Kraton that gets himself a second on the hunt used by Kraton.
Yeah, very nice again. Kraton comes in, pop the ultimate, to get a kill. He's actually having 4 kills already. Yes, he died 4 times, but he still managed to pick up some good kills. Behind in farm, but he's going to get the items he needs. And if he can get that, Millennium still have a chance to win fights.
While Millennium are chasing the kills here, I've got to pick out that Gambit, they're pushing the lanes. You can see the top lane again. It's been pushed in by Alexic, and now they're coming in from the side. Diamond gets on towards Aranea. Jerry taking the culling in the backside. Solar Flare being used to lock Genja up, and the Nevermore landed. Alexic finally coming around the side, but they haven't got the damage. Now they're going to try and turn this one around. Kevin running up that river. Aranea going to try and focus on towards him, but the 3 members of Gambit have forced Millennium away again.
Very messy engage actually from Gambit, but they're so far ahead, or at least they feel so far ahead, they can do these engages and force Millennium to back off. And the thing about pushing all the lanes, you have Lulu who goes one lane, very easy for you to push. We talked about the Hydros earlier from Darien. It means he's just going to go down to the one lane, constantly shove it out very, very fast. Look how fast he's clearing these waves. So he will always keep them pushed out, and then he can move towards the mid lane if something should happen.
We'll see which way Genja does go with that build, because at the moment he's gone for another BF sword. He wants to get that damage on there. Takes down the large Wraith. Millennium weren't sniffing him out, but it's Gain. It's Darian. Look at him, all on his own, shoving that bottom.
And the funny thing is, the last time these two teams faced each other, it was the same thing they actually did. Where Gambit, they just decided not to go straight up for teamfights unless they were in a perfect position for it, and just split pushed every single lane constantly, forcing Millennium to try and react and get into some bad fights. They have done the hunt and they wanted to start the fights, but they haven't been picking the right ones.
RNA would love nothing more than to secure a victory over Gambit. It's one of the bogey teams they consider. You saw him in the feature earlier on. But Gambit, with that timing on the Dragon, are ready. Alex is a long way away from this one. It could be a 5-on-4. Alex running down the river.
He will be there fairly fast. Look how fast he's actually moving on the minimap with his W, speeding up again. Yeah, he might be caught out.
He's caught out, but straight away, Wild Growth used very early on by Alex Hitch, and they're going to turn this fight on towards Millennium, pushing them away. We do see the Cocoon landing on Diamond. Millennium quick to disengage.
And Dragon is up, Gambit is moving towards S5. This can be a really, really big fight and a very game-changing fight. Millennium, they need to win this one.
There's a lot of ultimates still available for both teams. Of course, that Solar Flare could be key, as well as the Tibbers. You can see just off at the side. Flash is now available. Tibbers is ready and waiting, locked and loaded for Edward. He's trying to get himself invisible just off at the side. He wants to land. They're so well bunched up right now, Millennium. They have to be so careful of this ability going in there. Edward's going to bide his time. It is now available. Solar Flare goes in there. Eddie's still not use it. Does try and catch on towards it, but that's a kill for Darian. On towards J-Ree. Creaton running on the hunt used, but Kerp has been singled out. It's Lulu getting himself a second kill for Alex Hitch, and Gambit played that one perfectly.
Millennium, they cannot collapse onto Gambit. One guy goes in, two guys goes back, and it simply means it was too easy to more or less just kill J-Ree. There's still Tibbers up for Edward. He didn't even have to use it. Ultimate from Alex also ready. Didn't use it at all in the fight, and it was just too easy for them because Millennium went in like one by one. Kirby didn't even join the fight. He just stayed out. Poppy's ultimate didn't hit anyone. It was simply too easy for Gambit to get the kill.
And the thing, I mean, on the Wild Growth was used obviously by Genja just before it onto Genja, so they knew that ultimate's down. Yet Millennium were just so fearful of the Gambit lineup now and the pressure they have. Of course, they're so far ahead. You can tell it's a 10,000 gold lead. They just didn't want to engage.
And notice here, by the way, Edward is actually in a good position to land the Tibbers, but due to the fact that Millennium, they don't want to go in as the entire team here. Notice how Kirby's staying back up here in the corner. Jerry is actually the only one in the middle of the fight. Kevin, he didn't do anything. The entire team fight. Kirsten popped the ultimate, and Araney was too low. He had to back off instantly. Too easy simply for Gambit to just pick up 3 kills and then the Baron.
Just completely picking him off. Meanwhile, Kevin, he's got caught out here. Diamond's on him. You can see Alex is just at the bottom of your screen. He's going to come around. This duel is lasting, but Darian's coming round. That is not a good sign when the jungler takes down the top laner.
And it's more or less been the story here because Gambit is so far ahead that pretty much every member from Gambit can actually beat whoever is going against them from Millennium's side. So it simply means they can just keep doing display pushing. Yeah, the ultimate is still ready for everyone.
Didn't even need to use that ultimate. Of course, he had the Baron buff on him, so it's almost a suicidal engage by Kevin, but he felt he could have taken him down. But it turns out, no, Kevin, you are not that strong right now. Kerp, thought he was going to go straight in towards the bush of Alex Hitch instead. It's Millennium warding out, going full defensive duty.
And if you look at the items onto Millennium's side, we do have the Sonya's onto Kerp, but he doesn't really have any damage. He needs to get in there, he needs to tank up a lot of damage, but he won't be able to deal the same amount back to Gambit. That's the big issue because they're going in here.
And focusing in, but go, look at that! Darian catches 4 members there, quickly catching in. Solar Flare does a good job at stopping them though, and Gambit will get locked up. Look at Alex Hitch using that speed buff, trying to get in around the side. Kerp tries to force him away there, but the rest of Gambit are going to keep on moving.
And they can push down this mid lane turret now if they can actually group up as a team. Genja, he's still up towards the top, but he's moving down, joining in with the rest of Gambit. Tibbers is up if they want to start a fight.
The movement of Alex Hitch is starting to become scarier on that Lulu. Of course, he gets a bonus. All that ability power locks up to crazy movement speed. We could see some very fast play coming out. They're going to keep on pushing on towards this inhibitor turret. They have that Baron buff on them, remember, but it's a good poke from Millennium, keeping them bay.
But it's also very good damage from Gambit actually onto this turret. Notice how Alex, he can just shield himself or Genji when they go in. Keep them fairly safe from the turret, get some good damage on it, and then Darian, he just walks straight in, hits the turret, jumps out. He's not even scared of anything.
Well, now he's got that Guardian Angel on. He's quite happy. He's effectively got 2 lives, that Bloodwell, of course, and the Guardian Angel. There is going to be a lot to stop Darian. He's going to be a damaging monster. Again, good Nevermore this time around, but Darian again slam dunks on towards Millennium, and you'll see the rest of Gambit rushing through the team. Millennium just dropping like flies, the culling coming out there, but it was all about Alex Hitch and Darian just dunking on Millennium.
And there's simply no damage from Millennium's side. They can do nothing against Gambit in these team fights because there's so many things they have to go through. Guardian Angel, revive onto Darien. There's also the shield from Diamond's ultimate. There's the shield from Alex, his ultimate. Millennium don't have the damage to take them down, and Gambit knows this.
And Diamond didn't even use his ulti in that last fight. It's only just come back available. Kraton, Alex Ich trying to catch on towards him. Kevin does come around the corner, though. Didn't quite get that last hit, Alex Ich.
Look at the very scary amount of damage Alex actually has. He has the 3 core items. Kevin might even go aggressive.
What are you doing, Kevin? I don't think you can even take this fight. Alex Ich quite happy to just running around. Aranir maybe found himself a Genji, but he's got no support.
So we have the Banshee completed onto Genji. It means it's going to be even harder to lock him up. No matter what you throw at him, you need to pop the Banshee first, otherwise you won't get to him. And even if you should get to him, he has some tankiness. He has again the shields from Alex, the ultimate. They won't be able to kill him.
So let's talk about Diamond's build, because as has been proven many times in the past, he literally rolls dice at the start of a game and says, these are the items I'm going to pick, we'll see how it goes. He's 3-0-10 once again, and he is a monster.
But it's very, very smart because he's so tanky. Again, with his shield from ultimate, when he engages, if he gets people to go on him, because he's so tanky, he has both armor, MR, he has some good amount of health, and also he has some damage because of his AP and also his Hex Drinker to provide some decent damage. So he's actually a threat they have to deal with, but he's also so hard to kill. They don't really have a choice in going on him, but they won't even be able to kill him. So it's a very smart build overall. You could potentially go for something like a Randuin to completely shut down Kraton's damage.
Well, Kraton's ultimate may well be on the hunt, but it's Diamond that's looking for kills right now. And Kraton has to be careful he doesn't get caught out too far up the lane.
Darien has a Mana Moon.
Darien has a Mana Moon.
Really, Darien? Really?
He just builds what he likes. That's what he goes with. And Alex Ich now has found Kraton. Oh, that shield just about saving him. No, Alex Ich got the kill.
That was the extra damage from getting the Void stuff he didn't have before when he went in to try and kill Kraton. This time around, he just popped him. And now the Mana Immune, Darien, he's gonna go crazy on this turret.
And he's gonna go crazy, and that's gonna be the turret going down. No problem there. He will get caught out. And the inhibitor will follow. No problem there from Gambit. 18-7 in kills, and honestly, Gambit have looked dominant. This is a return of the old Gambit. You know, I wonder what it'd be like with a week off, and it seems that it just made them much stronger.
They've been very, very strong. They got a great combo just for them, and now they're looking to close out this game.
Well, Gambit may well going to be looking to finish this one out. Solar Flare going to go down. Not a lot going to be finishing from it. Darien just gets himself away. Look at the attack speed of Darien. He's got a buff from Alex Ich, and they're just cleaving down the Nexus. They're going for KDA right now. They want to get themselves some kills. You can see just off at the side there, Eddie being focused out. It's had to tell a lie. It's Genji that's down the side there. They're going to take the Nexus down. It will be Gambit closing out the match, taking down Millennium.
And that
week
was
7.
Overall, such a strong game by Gambit. They had such a good combo. Yes, they got punished bot lane by the Leona and Lee Sin combo, but the rest of them, once they got to team fights, they simply punished Millennium every time they made a wrong move or picked the wrong fight, got the kills they needed. And Alex on Lolo, he was such a big impact in the entire game.
The Swag Lord soaking up the crowd there, waiting for the camera guy to get out of the way so he can shake hands with the losers, which were Millennium this time around, but 8-1-6. Alex Ich, phenomenal again on Lulu.
Absolutely fantastic game. He kept Kirk pressure down to his turret all the time. Kirk got some good farm on his Swain, but just the fact Alex kept him down with the turret, then he could roam around whenever there was a fight. And we saw him in that very crucial dragon fight where Millennium actually went in 3 people against 3 from the Gambit side. It was Alex who roamed down from mid, joined into the fight, picked up some kills, and that really helped Gambit get ahead and then just keep going from there. And Darien, he managed to get 74 bonus mana on his Mana Immune.
Not really worth.
Not really worth.
Not really worth, but it's just an item we picked up towards the end. I want to also talk about what Kirk chose, of course.
Yes.
Coming into this game, they clearly had the plan. They knew they'd left Lulu open. They knew that Alex Ich would go for it because he said it himself in the interview. It's available. I will pick it. It is the strongest mid lane considered so far by the mid lane players. Went in with a Swain, came out 0-6-1. Didn't quite work.
I like the idea with the Swain because he felt he could go 1 versus 1 against Lulu and Lulu couldn't kill him. And the whole plan was get to the late game team fights and then Gambit wouldn't have the damage to actually take down the Swain. That was the whole idea behind it. But simply due to them losing team fights, losing the dragons, pretty much every single dragon was picked up by Gambit, meant that the entire team actually fell behind. And also meant that he couldn't get the core items he needs for the damage. He didn't have any death cap, there was no void stuff onto Swain, so he didn't have any damage to bring. It meant all the damage were actually on Kraton and Kevin. And Kevin, he could never really join the fights because he was either too squishy or already poked down a little bit. So he left it back to Kraton, who sadly didn't have enough damage.
And you know, you got to look at this game and you got to look at the picks that Gambit had, and clearly Millennium knew what they were leaving open. They left the Evelynn open for Diamond, the Lulu open, for Alex Ich. You know, we got the Lucian combo with the Annie.
Yes.
There's a lot of great picks that Gambit got there. Millennium knew they were doing this, clearly in picks and bans, and tried to counter it, and really didn't work in any of the lanes.
No, but that's the thing again. If it had worked better for them, if Crescent didn't fall so far behind early on in the bot lane, actually also giving up a kill with the tippers from Edward. But if they managed to survive there, got in all the ganks they actually did with Aranea, picked up the kills, they could have gotten the bot lane rolling, rotated that to Dragon, picked the Dragon up, and meanwhile we saw Kevin top. He actually killed Darien one by one. He was more or less winning the lane. So it would have worked if they could manage to punish bot lane through ganks, Kevin winning by himself, and then Cryptus farming mid lane. It could have gotten ahead early. Could have more or less used this combo as saying, you're never going to kill any one of us. We have the Underhunt to engage, we have the owner to engage, and we just dictate the map. Again, it didn't work for them because Gambit managed to get the team fights and then get ahead.
You say that Kevin worked well against them, but I'm not sure, because we saw Darien, he roamed non-stop. And obviously that mid lane push, when he came in the mid lane, where was Kevin? He was taking red buff.
Exactly. That is actually a very, very nice point. But that's not about the picks. It was just Kevin himself who actually decided to stay top lane and just shove it out, even though he knew Darien was gone. He just stayed up there. Darien, he rotated down, ganked Kerb first time, then second time through between the two turrets. He was there again. Kevin was still just pushing. That was a mistake. He should have reacted to this one. And also the rest of Millennium, after the bot lane ganks, they should have moved around, gotten maybe into mid lane because they knew something was about to happen. And again, that's just kudos to Gambit though, for taking advantage of the fact they know the Millennium didn't rotate well enough on the map, and they did. So they took down even 2 mid turrets for it with the roam from Darien.
Well, it seems that Gambit are better off taking a week's break. And of course that travel, we talked about it before, how it affects them. It seems to have worked wonders for them having that week away. We're going to step away for just a moment, but don't go anywhere, because Shox and Quickshot are standing by with Gambit's Alex Ich. Be good to hear from him. We haven't seen him for a week. And then, of course, it is first place Rocket. They're going to be taking on the Copenhagen Wolves, who are looking to make it 3 wins in a row. We'll be right back. So well bunched up right now, Millennium. They have to be so careful of this ability going in there. Edward's going to bide his time. It is now available. Solar Flare goes in there. Eddie's still not use it. Does try and catch on towards it, but that's a kill for Darien. On towards Jerry. Creaton running on the hunt used, but Kerp has been singled out.